Smith. The Ohio State Highway Patrol has adopted the Blue Envelope program to help ease the anxiety of traffic stops for people with disabilities. Our Cassidy Fury has more with a lieutenant about how it works.
Ohio State Highway Patrol has implemented a program that is making waves across the state. The Blue Envelope program is a solution for people who may have a disability that makes traffic stops or emergencies difficult or extra stressful. Users of the Blue Envelope simply need to place their documents in the envelope and hand it to the responding law enforcement or emergency personnel. Lieutenant Coy Lehman of the Marietta Highway Patrol says the initiative was brought up in one of their monthly meetings with other local agencies. He says the comfort of the citizens they serve is their top priority.
So, well, first of all, I just want to say the program and our participation in it is part of the Highway Patrol's effort to help build trust with our community and help people feel safe when they're stopped by our troopers.
The envelope comes with a sticker to put on your back windshield and a carrying card in case you're the passenger of a vehicle and are having a difficult time with the situation at hand.
What you'll get is the blue envelope. You'll put in your copy of your driver's license, the vehicle registration, your current auto insurance, or any other medical information that may be necessary for an emergency, okay? And that'll be all in an envelope, and you can hand that directly to a first responder or law enforcement officer if you're stopped.
This program serves as a great way to combat confusion or fear for those with disabilities. And according to Lieutenant Lehman, the envelope can also assist those undergoing a medical emergency, such as a diabetic episode, by alerting the officer or first responder of the pre-existing condition. Those who live in Washington County are eligible to obtain the envelope and simply need to stop by the Washington County Board of Developmental Disabilities to sign up. You can find an address and contact information for the Board of Disabilities on their website for directions or for further questions. Reporting from Marietta, WTAP News, I'm Cassidy Fury, and this is Home.